All right, so we're going to be solving systems of equations. So a system of equations is basically where you're going to solve for two variables. And since you're trying to solve for two variables, you have to have two equations. So before, if you just had one equation, you could plug in one variable and find the other one if you were, given one or the other. But in this instance, we're going to be able to solve two equations that are, sometimes you'll see them as simultaneous equations. So two equations going on at the same time, going to solve for x and y. So if you will go to your calculator, we can look at this as far as a graph goes. So if you'll go to your graph tab here, and then I'm going to plug in these two. Get rid of that table. If you hit tab, you can go in and fill in all your stuff. So I'm going to come in here and clear all these out. It has stuff going on in there. And then all right, so now I'm going to plug these in. So y equals 2x plus 3. Let's see if we can focus in on that. All right, so it kind of darkens everything else. And then hit enter, or hit the down arrow actually, and it grabs it for you. And then I'll clear this one out. And this is x minus 1. Then hit enter. And you can see that both of those are graphed there. So you can see that they meet at this point. And so that's what you're finding. You're finding the x and the y that solves for both equations. All right, so now let's look at this example. And so we have 2x plus 3. And so we're trying to find this x and y. Well, you can do that by pushing, I told you the keystrokes here, menu 3, 2. So go to your home, go to calculate, and menu 3, and then 2, it says solve system of linear equations. 2 equations, the x and y are the variables, and then hit OK. Now it tells you to plug in basically now what these exactly look like. So I'm going to say y, which is way down there at the bottom next to x, and then equals is right underneath control right there. Y equals 2x plus 3, and then y equals x minus 1. And then hit enter, and that tells you the x and the y. The x is negative 4. So it writes it with braces, but you really want to write it as a point as x, y. So really I'm going to write this as negative 4, negative 5. So notice that it says x, y right there on your screen. Hopefully you can see that a little bit better than you can on mine. And then right here, it tells you which one is in the first position. So x is the first position, that's negative 4. Y is in the second position, it's negative 5. So that's your answer. That's where those two would cross. So when you go look at your graph, this point right there that they would cross at would be at negative 4, negative 5, which makes sense because negative x, negative y should be in this quadrant. So we did it right, graphed it right, all of that. Let's look at example 2 here. Let's go ahead and graph these as well, mainly just so that way we can see what they look like. Here. So f1 of x, clear that out, 2x plus 5. And no, it doesn't always have to be 2x plus something else. So I know you're seeing that as a kind of a trend. And that's 2x plus 5. And then negative x, remember that negative sign. Oops. Clear that out. Negative x plus 8. Hit enter. You can see that they cross about right here. So that's going to be a positive x and a positive y. Should be when we go and solve it. So go back to your calculate and hit menu 3, 2. Go down, scroll down, OK. And so Lynn solve y equals 2x plus 5 and y equals negative x plus 8. Let me see what that looks like right there. All right. Then you hit enter. And so now you can see that the first x is 1 and y is 7. So they write it in those braces, but we are going to write it like an ordered pair with parentheses. So now we'll come over here, and so we have it as 1, 7. So that makes sense because when I went to do my graph, they crossed as a positive, at a positive, and a positive. So looks kind of up here, maxed out at 7.4, so looks to me, it'd be about right. All right, so that's it. So that's so when you do a system of equations, you're gonna hit menu 3-2 just to get the straight up answer. If you want to look at the graphs, then you can look at the graphs in the graph tab. So that's what I have for you. Systems of equations, two variables. You're going to solve for both x and y. Both variables are solved for.